Ministers are looking at introducing a legal obligation on social media companies to restrict legal but harmful content. It could mean that social media companies could be required to remove or suppress posts spreading fake news about asylum seekers or other topics such as self-harm, for example, even if they're not classed as illegal. Where do we draw the line, folks? Is this free speech under threat in what is the 2024 de facto public square? Well, joining us, I can think of no one better, is the General Secretary of the Free Speech Union, Mr. Toby Young. Toby, thank you very much for your company. Just how worried are you by these proposals?
I'm pretty worried, Darren. So the Free Speech Union and other free speech campaigners lobbied hard against the inclusion in the online safety bill, not of the words legal but harmful. They were never actually in any draft of the online safety bill. But the proposal was that the Secretary of State at DCMS would have the ability under the new law to draw up a list of content that was lawful but awful, legal but harmful, though those words didn't appear in the bill, that social media companies would then be obliged on pain of being fined huge sums of money to remove. So they'd be forced to remove the content on this list of legal but harmful stuff that the Secretary of State at DCMS had drawn up. We thought that was a hostage to fortune. We thought it was perfectly possible that a Labour Secretary of State in the not too distant future who wanted to ban content that they politically disapproved of, but which wasn't against the law, would draw up one of these lists and force social media companies like X, like Facebook, to remove it. The reason we lobbied against that, Darren, was for several reasons, one of which has come up in this discussion you've been having, which is, well, who gets to decide? Why should Lisa Nandy, the current Secretary of State at DCMS, get to decide what is misinformation and what isn't? We know from experience that misinformation is often just a euphemism that people use for opinions they disapprove of. But I think a more fundamental reason, Darren, that we objected to it is that one of the cornerstones of English liberty is the English common law principle that if something isn't explicitly prohibited by law, then it's permitted, then you're allowed to do it. And this created a new grey area, which effectively said it may be permitted by law, but you're still not allowed to say it on social media companies. We thought that was a departure from that sacrosanct principle underpinning our liberties that's been a core feature of English common law and one of the things which differentiates English common law from the Napoleonic Code on the continent, whereby unless something is explicitly allowed, you're not allowed to do it. That's obviously a much more draconian, restrictive legal approach. So we were really concerned about this. We lobbied against it. We persuaded the government it was a bad idea, and the government stripped this out of the online safety bill. It's not surprising that Labour want to put it back in. They want the power to essentially remove heretical, dissident content from social media. Just one example of the kind of thing that social media companies would be more likely to remove if the Labour Party does amend the Online Safety Act in this way. Only today we learned that Richard Dawkins, the famous biologist and atheist, has had his Facebook account deleted because he said that he didn't think the boxer who won gold last night, because they are a genetic male, should be able to win a gold medal by fighting a genetic female. And apparently that's the kind of hate speech that Labour wants to see removed from social media. But Facebook have done it anyway in the case of Richard Dawkins.